presidential candidate, former congressman, and my friend Joe Walsh joining us right now on the line. Joe, good to see you again. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Always good to be with you, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Pleasure having you. All right, let's start out right from the beginning here. You remember when Scalise was shot, and that was a horrible event, right? And Democrats, all of them poured out with thoughts and prayers, and, we can never condone violence. And nobody was putting out misinformation, conspiracy theories when that took place. But how do you make of your Republican Party and these Republicans out there, fringe people on the right, not everybody, but the Ted Cruz's of the world, the Kerry Lakes of the world, mocking, making jokes of this hammer incident where this guy almost lost his life, and then the misinformation and conspiracy theories? What do you make of all this?
Well, they're doing what they're doing, Cruz, Lake, and all of them, because Republican voters are untethered to truth. You've heard me say for a long time that the base of my former political party is fully radicalized. What the hell does that mean? That means the base of the Republican Party is untethered to truth. They've given up on democracy, and they're open to violence. They're open to using violence. So Cruz, Lake, Trump, DeSantis, all these guys know where their voters are. So they have to then give their voters what they want.
You've also probably heard the conspiracy theories being put forth by the right that this was some sort of gay relationship gone bad or a male prostitute. Why is it that it always seems like the Republicans are putting out some, not all, the homophobia stuff and just complete and utter misinformation, whether it be election fraud, whether it be about COVID, and now about an attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband?
I'm probably a lousy radio guest because I'm a broken record. They're no longer interested in truth. I mean, here we sit 2 years removed from the 2020 election, and right now still 70, 80, 85% of the Republican Party still believes Donald Trump won.
Yeah.
They believe that. Yeah. So is it any surprise that they would believe anything about what happened to Paul Pelosi?
Agree. Joe, what responsibility, if any, do you put on the right-wing rhetoric, the stuff that comes out of Donald Trump's month and has for many years now, on this attacker? I know we're still learning information, but he goes into this home. Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? He said in an interview that he was going to break her kneecaps if he didn't get, quote, the truth. And, what, if any, do you put any responsibility on Donald Trump and the rhetoric being put forth by the fringe right?
A lot of them. And I say that as someone who did the same damn thing. You and I've been very honest with you. I've been very honest with the whole country. I helped to radicalize the base. I come from right-wing media. I come from Republican politics. I engaged in some of this stuff to rile up and to inflame my listeners. I'm not proud of that, but I did do it. And it works because they believe it. And the more you can lie to and look at Tucker Carlson every night. Tucker Carlson last night talked about the Paul Pelosi thing, and he did nothing but lie. But he knows exactly that that's what his audience wants to hear.
Joe, you said on social media recently what it takes these days to be a viable Republican. I mean, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think you're 100% right.
Everybody talks about, oh my God, I miss normal Republicans. What the hell is a normal Republican? There is no such thing. I thought I was. Liz Cheney thought she was. Look, there are only right now two kinds of Republicans. There are the absolute bonker crazies like Kerry Lake and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then there are enablers of the crazies like current Arizona Governor Doug Ducey or Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. Right? Everybody likes to talk about how Glenn Youngkin is a normal Republican. Bull crap. He's not. He's out there endorsing and helping Kerry Lake get elected. So those are the only two kinds of Republicans. And if you oppose election denialism, right now, there's no room for you.
Joe, there's a lot of Democrats out there that are worried, those that are running for office, those that are already in office, that feel like a lot of these Republicans that are election deniers could win. So my question to you is, what will the Republicans do if they do take back Congress? What do you think their next move will be, and what will they do, and what will the country look like?
But here's the beautiful thing. These idiots are telling us exactly what they'll do. I mean, every day you can go on Fox News or go on conservative talk radio, and Marjorie or Lauren Boebert or my buddy Jim Jordan will tell you exactly what they're going to do. They're going to investigate everybody who works for Joe Biden. They're going to try to impeach Joe Biden and a bunch of people who work for Joe Biden. It's going to be 2 years of utter revenge against what they perceive as how the Democrats treated Trump unfairly. They will not lift a finger to do anything to help the American people. It'll all be investigations.
What do you make of Chief Justice of the Supreme Court blocking Donald Trump's, tax returns to the January 6th committee? I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. What do you make of that story?
I'm hoping that it is just a formality. As it was, am I right, a week or two ago when Clarence Thomas temporarily held up Lindsey being forced to testify down in Georgia. By the way, the Supreme Court just said, nope, sorry, Lindsey, you got to testify.
Right.
So my hope is that this is just a temporary bureaucratic move, and his taxes will have to be made public.
Joe, I have to ask you this. I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. If, in fact, the public or even the January 6th committee does get to see Donald Trump's taxes, what do you think we're going to find in there that Donald Trump doesn't want people like you and me to see?
I think the two biggest things, and I'm not an expert, we're going to find out he's always been lying about how much he's made and how much he's worth. It's all a bunch of BS. And by the way, that's a really big deal to him because he likes to think he's like the wealthiest guy in the world. I think we're going to find out he gave zero to charity. And I think we're also going to find out that there's some real questionable things that he counted as income.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. A couple more quick questions for you, Joe. Appreciate the time. If you're just joining us, he is former Congressman Joe Walsh, former presidential candidate. Your thoughts on Elon Musk? You know, he's the guy who just retweeted something yesterday, misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it, about the Pelosi attack, and then he deleted it and took it down. It seems like he's allowing Donald Trump going to come back to Twitter, and it seems like he's just going to allow, for the most part, people to say whatever the hell they want. What do you make of that?
So you and I may disagree on this. I'm sure we agree on Elon. I think Elon is an overgrown, overweight, bratty 7-year-old. I think he's an ignoramus. I think he's a bully, just like Donald Trump. But I don't give a damn. So he buys Twitter. He's a wealthy guy. He buys Twitter. He can do whatever he wants with Twitter. Twitter's a private company. They can have whatever rules they want. I tend to be a free speech, pretty much absolutist. I don't think Trump should have been yanked off of Twitter. So if I owned Twitter, I'd be a lot more liberal about who I let on Twitter. Yeah. Look, I'm going to tweet because I got things to say and I like to tweet. I'm going to tweet until it pisses me off and I don't want to tweet anymore. I don't care who owns Twitter.
But where do you draw the line, Joe? I mean, if Donald Trump or if somebody puts out medical misinformation or incites violence, where is the Joe Walsh line on what you can or can't say on Twitter? There's got to be some line, right?
Well, again, I guess my line would be the free speech line. Mm-hmm. If somebody literally, specifically incites somebody or a group of people to be violent, that right now is not speech that's acceptable at all. So, gotcha. I mean, that's generally where I would draw the line.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Mr. Walsh, we'll let you go. I know you're a busy guy and you've done a lot of other appearances in the last several days. Always appreciate it when you take the time to always do this.
Keep speaking the truth.
Thanks, Joe.
Speaking the truth.
Same to you, my friend. Thanks. Appreciate you. That's Joe Walsh, former congressman and, of course, former presidential candidate. Always honest. That's what I love about Joe. He admits he was wrong. He admits he was a part of it. He was part of the Republican echo chamber machine that might have caused some of the roots of some of these things to happen. But